Hi YouTube, this is Angie the Anti-Theist. I'm having a ton of annoying errors and problems trying to record this, so hopefully this one goes live. Basically, a lot of people have been asking me questions about being an atheist mother. For the most part, being an atheist parent is being a parent. It's diaper changes and parent-teacher conferences and school lunches and skin knees and temper tantrums and hugs and go clean your rooms. It's going to be pretty universal across the Western American experience, at least. I would imagine my son has a lot in common with most kids of his ability level and socioeconomic status. The fact that the majority of those kids in this country would be in Christian families and he's not, I don't think is the thing that makes him most unique in this world or most like somebody else. It matters to me a lot, to be honest with my son. And so I don't tell him that Santa Claus is true. I also, though, don't want to be so afraid of ideas like my fundamentalist family was. So we've got Bob the Builder books and Blue's Clues, and we've also got Bible stories. And I don't treat them as being any different. I treat them to be similarly fictional. I think when you keep a child from something, when you forbid it, I think that often makes it more appealing. I mean, Adam and Eve tree, don't touch that fruit, of course, human nature. We want to, test the limits, or why not? And, I think I don't want to act like I'm not scared of Christianity in terms of like that the idea itself is so appealing. Absent the cultural context that supports the delusion and the, child indoctrination and generational nature of religion, I don't think people would, look at these sets of ideas for the first time at, say, age 40, having never heard any of this, and living in a secular world, and see it and say, my God, that makes perfect sense. Whereas that was my experience with materialistic naturalism. Just like, it makes sense. The world doesn't have miracles and faith healing isn't happening. But I guess another thing people ask is, how would I feel if my son became religious? And I guess one, I'm fairly confident that my son will be a free thinker. I'm not somebody who has a neutral stance on religion. And I do share my opinions and beliefs and stances and reasons with the people around me for holding the views of religion and, charity and the world around us that I do. The difference between indoctrination and influence, as Dale McGowan of Parenting Beyond Belief, whose videos I'm totally linking over on the side, he described the difference between indoctrination and influence. Influence is letting your kids know what you value and why. Indoctrination is not allowing them to see any other options. So my kid does have Bible stories on his bookshelf in his room. We live across the street from a giant church. One of his school, public school teachers is a Sunday school teacher. The vast majority of his extended family are Christian. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't protect him from Christianity in the way that I, as a child, was protected from non-Christians. Simply, the numbers aren't in my favor for that kind of scenario. I also don't want to. I don't want to tell my son what to think. I want to teach him how to think and how to empathize and how to problem solve and how to see beyond the privilege that he's lucky enough to get to have as somebody born white and male in America. I want to teach him how to think critically, to evaluate things, and to reach his own conclusions. When I was a Christian, I loved being a middle school Sunday school teacher. That was my favorite age group, which most people consider middle schoolers a very problem age. But I guess for me, it was a really exciting age, and I saw them as being kids who were just starting to form their own identities and decide for themselves, the nature of their faith. There was all that exciting, rededicating and revivals, but there was also kids, coming up with their own interpretations to the scripture, not the ones that their parents necessarily had, or really asking themselves, well, how do I feel about gay marriage or abortion? And I just found that a really exciting time. I would have rather had kids that had good reasons for their beliefs than kids who just believed because their parents did. And I feel that way about my kid too. While yes, I think it would be great if everybody dropped the fairy tales right now and we were all atheists. Don't expect that to happen. Not even a little bit, as much as I might fantasize about it. But I actually wouldn't want everyone to just stop believing because I told them to. Because then that would just still have the underlying problem. Religion is a huge problem, but it's also a symptom of a problem. It's a symptom of bad thinking. And I want to prevent that. And I think the best way to do that is to teach someone how to think. Because who knows, my son might be a great deal smarter than I am. And if I just tell him to do everything that I do, it's like never having any, positive genetic variation. It's just a clone. I don't want my kid to be a clone. I want to find out who he is. I'm already here. So I don't think that he will become a religious believer. I certainly would not prefer that for my son. But the things that matter most to me are that he is self-sufficient, ethical, loving, and loved. It's kind of it. It's kind of the same thing everybody wants for their kids, right? You want them to succeed in life, you want them to be happy, and you want them to be good people. And you really don't need God for that. So that's being an atheist mom from my perspective. If anybody else is an atheist parent and wants to add your comments, or if anybody else has more questions on this, feel free to let me know. As always, you can check out my blog at Angie the Anti-Theist.blogspot.com. You can follow me on Twitter at AntitheistAngie. And please remember to donate to mycharitywater.org/Angie Anti-Theist for the well project that we're raising money for. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great and godless day. Peace.